what was the reason you could play anywhere in the world? Why Sycamore Hills and Fort Wayne today and yesterday?
Well, Tom Kelley, his father, Jim preceding him, I did the golf course here for them. Jim has passed, and Tom asked me to come play. He said they had a full member, would like to have me come play and be part of it, and I said, okay. It's a nice golf course.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rick Rifkin. I'm one of the principals at Sycamore Hills, and we're very grateful and thankful that all of you could be here to play and participate in this, our third annual National Pro-Scratch Invitational. Thank you all for coming. It wouldn't be very good if you guys weren't here. My responsibility here tonight is to do two things. One is to recognize the people that you guys don't see, that we see all the time, that their effort has made this place what it is. And so I'd like to thank the staff. First and foremost, our general manager, Chris Hampton, who is responsible for the whole operation here. Chris, thank you very much. Our clubhouse manager, Alfredo Hildebrand, who has presented all of the festivities and the food that you've seen in front of you. You guys haven't enjoyed any food lessons. Right. So Alfredo's got a lot of big responsibility for that, along with our executive chef, Adam House. Alfredo and Adam, are you around? Thank you, John. Our locker room manager, Hartley McLeod, most of you have gotten to know. Those of you that were here last year or 2 years ago know that Hartley will go out of his way, go to the last mile to take care of you. So thank you to Hartley. Our head golf professional, Tim Frazier. Tim, where are you? Can't say enough about Tim and his staff, assistants Edgar Lino and Marcus Ripcha. They have done yeoman work in getting everything prepared for this event, and I think you'll all agree that they've done a fabulous job. Last and certainly not least, the golf course. John Thompson, our course superintendent, and his assistants Doug Moreau and Scott Lindley have done a phenomenal job. I think all of you will agree that the golf course is in as good a shape as we've ever seen it, and thanks to JT and the staff for doing a phenomenal job of preparing the golf course. Right. It's now my honor and pleasure to turn the mic over to Tom Kelley. Most of you know Tom from being around here for a long time, but Tom was one of the top amateurs in the area for years and years, long time ago. But more importantly, Tom and his father Jim were the founders of Sycamore Hills, and without them, we wouldn't probably be here today. And without Tom and Jim, and without Tom this week, we wouldn't have Jack here today. So thank you to Tom Kelley for bringing this whole thing together. Now, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Rick. I'd just like to thank a couple guys really quick. I'd like to thank Rick and Marty and Bruce and Larry Tessa because, when my dad passed away, we needed somebody to take over the benevolent dictator job, I call it, where you write the check and say thank you very much every year. And those guys have done one hell of a job. So I think the current owners of Sycamore Hills need a round of applause for providing. I was down in Florida last October, and I was talking to Jack, and I was trying like hell to figure out how I could get Jack back up here to Sycamore, and I was talking to him about airplanes and stuff, and I said, Jack, we've got this award, and it's called the Jim Kelley Award, and my dad loved golf. He owned public golf courses. His dream in life was to build Sycamore Hills. Of course, Jack made that dream come true. My dad got to play golf with Jack in 1960 at the Mad Anthony's, and I was there, and I've actually got the golf ball that he used. I showed it to Jack today. And Jack made a lifelong impression upon my dad about golf and just the way to conduct yourself around the golf course. And he built Muirfield, and my dad told me, we got to do that. So long story short, we ended up building Sycamore Hills. So I told Jack we were going to do this Jim Kelley Award, and I said, Jack, you know, I'm just not going to do it. You won't be the inaugural recipient. He looked at me and goes, really? You're going to pull that card on me? I said, Jack, I'm a car salesman. I'll stoop to the lowest possible level. And so about 3 weeks later, he called and said, okay, I'll come. So I texted Marty Rick and said, hey, great, Jack's coming, and we're going to get the Jim Kelley Award. And Marty, as succinct as he is, said, what's that? So I had to come back home before I went and explain to Marty and Rick what the Jim Kelley Award was. But no, in all sincerity, my dad loved the game of golf. He loved making it available to everybody. And when he built Sycamore, it didn't matter who you were, what gender you were, what race you were, what nationality you were. If you were a good person, he'd figure out a way for you to be a member of this club. And that was his enjoyment. He would ride around and feed the swans and mow the grass and make sure everybody had a good time. And the story I tell, and I'll tell it one more time, Jack built the Bears Club in Florida. They had 35 founding members that paid $1 million a piece to be founders. And my dad was one of the founders, and opening day he asked my dad and Ross Johnson and Wayne Ising to play with him. And Jack says, your dad shows up in the first tee with his pinnacle that was all dirty and said, Jack, where's the ball washer? He says, damn it, Jim, there's no ball washer in the first hole of the Bears Club. But, true story. But you know, Jack has meant so much to our family. I've gotten to know Jackie and Gary and Steve and Ann and Nan and Michael, and they've been so good to us. And then my dad and I joined the Bears Club, and many of the people in Fort Wayne are now the members there. And Jack has done so much for the game of golf. Not only, you know, Sycamore wouldn't be here without Jack Nicklaus, and it wouldn't be the phenomenal golf course it is today without Jack Nicklaus and his continued involvement with the golf course. And he's just given so much to the game of golf. I just figured that, you know, we're going to create this award. He's got to be the first recipient. Jack, congratulations. Love you. I hope I don't pull this off the wall. Somebody said it's got to come off. Anyway, underneath there. I'm not going to pull it off the wall. Anyways, it says Jack Nicklaus on it. I don't know who put it on there, but see, your name is actually on there. Jack Nicklaus.
Just tape.
It's tape, but I don't want to pull it off the wall. All right.
Well, thank you, Tom.
I almost made it all the way to the end.
Yeah, I know you did. I know, but it's hard to do. When you're talking about your dad, it's pretty important. And I first met your dad. Came over for the Mad Anthony's in 1960, and we played at Fort Wayne Country Club. And I remember I shot 66. And your dad was, you know, he was impressed by that, and we had a good time. Started our friendship, and we got to know each other as we were going along. You and I got to know each other, and when we started Muirfield, your dad, you wanted to be part of it. You came over there, and of course, you know, he brought Tom along, and because I know I see it all over pillows now, but I never saw it before until his dad said, he says, you know, if you can afford to go first class and don't, your heirs will. And of course, I got pillows all over my house now say that, and I'm finding out my heirs do. But he was a great guy. He loved people. He loved to have fun. He flew me all over the world, that old G2 he was trying to sell me. I didn't bite on that one.
I know, but
That's
you
all right.
tried though.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it's, like you, if you're a used car salesman, you sell. Keep working at it. But anyway, your dad was a good guy. He was a good friend. He was one of the first that I thought of when we started the Bears Club. He came right in with that, and I'm really honored to have my name on an award bearing your dad's name. Thank you, Tom. Much appreciated. I have a mic here.
Yeah, but I've attached it to the video. But anyway, so rather than Jack have a formal speech, so to speak, we thought we'd open up for questions and answers because a lot of people want to know about how far he hit it, what he did there, and how he played certain tournaments. So, Jack, I think what we'll do is just open up for questions and have you talk to the group like that. Is that all right?
Whatever. Well, let me.
That mic is only good for the camera.
It doesn't work. Okay. Let me start off with. Let's go back to Sycamore Hills, and when you and your dad asked me to come over and do Sycamore Hills, I kept trying to figure out where the hills were.
I didn't choose that.
I mean, some of it was Sycamore cornfields over here, where I think it's 11 through 15, I guess. And but anyway, we fiddled around with it, and we did a golf course. It was fun doing the golf course. The best golf courses that I've done, I always say, are the ones where the owner takes a great part in what goes on. And there's no way I was going to come to Fort Wayne without you and your dad. That's for sure. So your dad was there, you were there every time. And we had a lot of fun doing it. Through the years, you've had a lot of recognition as being the best golf course in the state. I don't know what your recognition is today, but if there's a better one, I don't know where it is. But the golf course is good. You've done a nice job. When we came back, and I guess it's, when did you do the renovation? 7 years ago?
I think 5 years ago, maybe.
5, 6, 7. And, you got me in here for a trip, and I went through and did the things that I thought, or told you the things that I wanted to do. And then my son Jack, he's in here somewhere. I don't know where he is.
Where's Jackie? He might have gone home. I don't know. Jackie.
He's back there somewhere. Anyway, he came in with David Savick, who was a longtime friend of Jackie's. They grew up together. And they were the ones that executed what needed to be done here. Basically, we had a nice golf course, but there wasn't anything fancy about it. And they fancied up the bunkers, remodernized the golf course. I know they adjusted some of the green complexes and the lengths of the holes to bring it up to snuff. And you didn't let me be involved in it beyond that. And I said, that's one of those things about going first class again, and your heirs will, But anyway, I think the golf course has turned out nice. We've had some nice events on it. And today I thought the golf course was terrific. The golf course is in beautiful condition. Played well. Do you guys have any idea what we were set up to do to you guys today? We played in the Legends Division. We're the only ones playing the front tees. We had par as a partner.
And we made 2 birdies.
And we made 2 birdies. And I promise if we hadn't had Par as a partner, we wouldn't have broken 8. Anyway, we had fun. I hope we did. We had a good time today. We had good fun. Anyway, then we started out. We had fun with that. My history of Indiana is, which is part of what this is, contribution to golf in Indiana. Sagamore is the only other golf course I've done.
Right.
Down, I guess Sagamore's down with the Indianapolis area.
Yes.
So we're outside there. And, you know, but I'm going to tell a story. I really probably shouldn't tell this because it's a little braggy, but it's still a fun story for me. I went to play college golf at Ohio State, and we didn't have a very good golf team at Ohio State. And Bob Kepler, my coach at Ohio State, said, he came to me just before we went to the Big Ten, which was in Indiana. That's why I'm telling the story. He said, Nick, he says, I've never asked you to do anything before. He says, I really need a favor from you. I said, what do you mean, Kepler? What do you mean you really need a favor from me? He says, he says, only one team from the Big Ten gets to go to the NCAA. He said, so I need you to spread eagle the field so I can get this team to the NCAA. I said, what do you mean, spread eagle the field? He says, I need you to win the Big Ten by as many shots as you can so we can get to the Big Ten. I won the Big Ten that year at Indiana by 23 shots. And we won by 1. So now we take this same team, and in those days, it's the best 4 out of 5 scores. And in the NCAA in those days was the first 2 days was a team championship. And you played the best 4 out of 5 scores, and we went to Purdue. And I was medalist, and our second guy was second medalist. Now, I shot 139, he shot 140. Now, we ended up tying Houston for 7th place in the team. Now, in Houston that year, I had a low 64 qualified for match play. The match play was how they determined the individual champion. So we were first and second. We tied Houston. Houston's had Dick Crawford, who was 2-time defending individual NCAA champion. He didn't make match play. Ron Weber made a 13 on the last hole on one round, and Joel Goldstrand had an extra club in his bag for 36-shot penalty. That's it, we tied. We weren't deep, but we had a great time in Indiana.
True story.
Yeah. What does anybody want to talk about?
First of all, thank you for coming here and creating this golf course. It's kind of a 2-part question. What would you say is your favorite moment on a golf course? And 2, your best or most remembered shot?
I have no idea.
I know you got
My favorite moment on a golf course?
Yeah.
I don't think I have a favorite moment on the golf course. I always looked at the moment that was going on at that time, as my favorite moment. I noticed everybody was asking, what's your favorite club? It's the one I'm playing. So I didn't want a favorite club. I didn't want one moment to be that much better than another one. To me, it was doing your best every moment to try to get the most out of what you can get. And so I don't really have any favorite moments. I mean, obviously, I can go back and look at the '86 Masters, which was a pretty special moment. Son Jack on the bag, and We had, but that's not just a moment, too. That was a little bit more than a moment. What was the second part of it? What?
Might be harder to answer. Most memorable shot.
Memorable shot.
I know you did a lot of them.
I had a lot of memorable shots, but I had a bunch of them today that I want to forget. Yeah, did I hit some bad shots today? Woo! Actually, I have 3 shots were probably my favorite shots that I played. They were all 3 1-irons. The 67 at Baldesraw, I had a 3-shot lead on Arnold going to the last hole, and I needed birdie to break Hogan's open record. I wasn't really worried much about Hogan's open record. If I got myself in a position, that was fine. But I really wanted to win the tournament. I didn't want to screw it up. And so I played a 1-iron off the tee, par 5. And I hit it out just off the edge of the fairway, but I was in a tire track, and they didn't give me relief from it. And so I tried to chop it out of there, and I didn't hit it very far. I hit it down the fairway, and I was trying to hit it down this little lake down there about, I don't know, 180 yards from the green. I hit it 238, and there was a storm coming up. It was starting to come in, the wind was starting to come in our face, and they wanted to get the tournament over with. Well, anyway, I pulled out I needed a 3-wood to hit there, because it was uphill into the wind. But I said, I'm not going to hit a 3-wood. The 3-wood's the only place I can put it all over the world, so I'm not going to put a 1-iron any place where I hurt it. Well, anyway, I hit the 1-iron, and I ended up carrying the bunker in front of the green on the hole, 22 feet. I made the putt to break Hogan's record. That was one. Then in 72, played at Pebble Beach, which you guys, if anybody watched the Open this year, I don't need to tell you about that one. They only showed it about 50 times. But that was 219 into the wind. Wind was a little left to right into my face. I guess I had a 2-shot lead, maybe 3-shot lead, I don't remember. Anyway, it was a tough shot. And so that one was pretty good. And the last one wasn't as, didn't get as much out of it, but 75, I hit it on 15 at Augusta. I left it on a little knob. They used to have knobs in that fairway. And I had a little uphill of the knob, and I had 242. And I hit this 1-iron, I just took it, it was straight up in the air, and almost knocked it in the hole, ran by about 8 feet. And I missed the putt, but it didn't make any difference. The 1-iron was, woo! That was kind of fun, Anyway, that's the best I can answer that. What else we got back there?
I got a question for you. College teammate of yours, Don Stickney.
No, but I knew Stickney a lot.
Said you enjoyed playing against you quite a bit.
Well, Stick and I played a lot of golf together. Played junior golf, we played amateur golf together. We haven't played the last couple of years. He's had some health problems, but he was a good player. He beat me in the higher amateur at Tippecanoe in 1958, I think it was. And but anyway, he was a good player. Still was a good player. He was a real competitor. Yeah, I enjoy it. We talk to each other quite often, but he hasn't been well enough to play for the last couple of years. Yeah.
Quick question. So, advice on an amateur just out of college trying to turn professional, what would you say the biggest thing to work on your game is to get to the next level of turning professional?
Well, I think you better work on what your record is, because your record is going to determine your confidence level of what you're going to do. And if you can't beat everybody you're playing against all the time, you're not going to beat those guys out there. Those guys out there are pretty good. And there's several, not one of you guys I know in here tonight have been out there. and they played pretty well. But I think the main thing that you got to do is you got today you've got to play as many events as you can get into. You've got to go from one level to the next. You go, but I think that the one thing that to me helps somebody get to where they need to do is they've got to find out who they are. And you got to find out who you are, what you can do, what your level of your good and level of your bads are, how you can put those things together, how you can play there, how do you play within yourself to get better. I mean, I don't care what level of golfer you are. If you understand that you're a 10 handicap, let's use 18. I like to use that a little bit. 18 handicap, an 18 handicap's not supposed to be hitting greens in regulation. They're supposed to be, around the green and get on par 4, get on in 3. In 3, they move. But if you play like you're an 18 and you try to make sure that every hole is within what you can do, you'll pretty soon be a 13, 12, you'll get better. It's the same thing as you're a professional. If you play within what you are, use your strong suits. In other words, in my case, my back was not very good when I was younger. And I couldn't practice a lot of chipping and putting. And so, every time I do it, my back would hurt, and I'd end up I had my back injected in 9 different places by the time I was 19 years old. That's what I used to do there. You get in with the cortisone. Anyway, I finally figured out that if I couldn't practice my short game, how in the world was I going to be any good? Well, the only thing I could do, it didn't bother me to practice my long game. I just had to be better than everybody with my long game. So the way I sort of analyzed how I played golf, now I think that it's probably not the right way to analyze it, but it's what I had to do because it's what I had. It was playing within myself. And I figured I would hit 14 or 15 greens in regulation. I hit a couple par 5s and 2. And I really practiced enough short putting that I was a good short putter. I felt like I could slot the ball on the green somehow with a bunker shot or chip inside 10 feet, and I rarely missed the putt inside 10 feet. So if you got that combination, you don't need to practice all day on the other. Now, and I always feel like it's more fun to practice what you like than to practice what you don't like. Now, that doesn't obviously work for everybody, but that was what I had to do, and that's the way I did it. Tiger, on the other hand, Tiger was not a big kid. And Tiger, what a short game he had. He learned everything to do with it. And his dad was smart enough to teach him how to play golf with older type golf clubs so he could maneuver the ball and learn how to play shots. And I think the clubs today, I think they play a little bit too much of the shot for you. I don't like those clubs. Well, I'm going to get another set of clubs that fit me better. I'm going to get a ball that really fits my style of play. We didn't have any of that. We had one ball. You went and found a set of golf clubs, and you learned how to play with them. And so that's really what we did. But today to get on the tour, you've got to really, really be lucky. You've got to gain confidence in yourself, and most of all, you've got to have patience. If you don't have patience, you're never going to get there. Okay?
Thank you.
Who else got something there? Yeah, Chris.
Mrs. Nicklaus is one of the sweetest, nicest people I've ever met in my life. And I wondered if you could share a story related with Mrs. Nicklaus and your golf.
How do I relate her to my golf?
No, just one of your favorite stories with her and your golfing career.
Oh, well, okay. Barbara and I we started dating when we were freshmen in college. Between my freshman and sophomore year, I would say I was 18, and so I played Firestone. It was before they changed the golf course, and we're playing the tournament, and Barbara went up with me to the tournament, and we're driving. I drove back and forth every day, so we're going back to Columbus today, and I'm talking about the round. He says, "Can you believe the shot I played at 13? 13." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I had this little chip." She says, 13. She says, 13. I wouldn't have a clue where 13 was. I had no idea what he's talking about when he shot. He says, "This is never going to work." So anyway, obviously she learned. Heck, I mean, we'd probably been dating or married for 3 or 4 years before, she kept seeing the sign, "No mulligans allowed." She just thought that meant that bad players weren't allowed to play. But when we got married, Barbara was the luckiest gal on the planet. We got married when we were only 20 years old. And we went on our honeymoon. And we married on Saturday night. And we drove Sunday to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Well, Jay Weitzel was assistant at Scioto, was a pro at Hershey. And on Monday morning, I said, I thought it'd be really great if she'd probably love to see Hershey Country Club. So Monday morning, I played Hershey Country Club. Now, she wants to go to New York City for 2 weeks on a honeymoon. Incidentally, we got married the week of the PGA Championship because I was still an amateur, and she knew it was the only week in the year I couldn't play. So that's how we got. She knew I wouldn't get out of that. And so anyway, we had played at Hershey, drove into New York City. We stayed down at Times Square at the old Astor Hotel, which doesn't exist anymore. And I mean, I'm a 20-year-old kid driving into New York City. I wouldn't drive into New York City today. No way in the world. I'm driving into that city. And anyway, we ended up, first night we're there, we went and saw a couple of shows and went to do things that people do. But we went down to a place called Eddie Condon's. Eddie Condon was an old clarinet player that had a restaurant called Condon's. And a fellow ran it was a fellow named Pete Pesky. And Pete saw me and he walked in and said, "Hey, Nick, what are you doing here?" He says, "I'm here on my honeymoon, Pete." And he says, "Great." He says, "You going to play Wingfoot while you're here?" "Oh, Pete, I'd love to play." "Barbara, wouldn't you love to see Wingfoot?" So, sure enough, the next day, off we go to Wingfoot. Now, it's pouring down rain. We got married in July. It's pouring down rain. And we got to Wingfoot, 36 holes. There's 2 people on the golf course, or 3. Barbara, my caddy, and me. I played 18 holes at Wingfoot that day. We got back at night, and so we were there, I don't know, most of the next day. And she says, "I don't really want to spend 2 weeks in New York." I said, "Really? Where would you like to go?" "I don't know." She says, "I've never been to Atlantic City." I said, "Well, let's go to Atlantic City." So we got in the car. Of course, you got to go right by Clementon, New Jersey to get to Atlantic City, don't you? So I drove into the doors of Pine Valley. And I drove up to the clubhouse, got out of the car and walked in, and the guy recognized me. He said, "Hey, you're Jack Nicklaus, aren't you?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, I'm David Newbold." I said, "Remember?" He said, "I'm here with my wife." He says, "You're what?" He says, "Women are allowed on the property, Jack." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that." I said, "Well, I assume you want to play." "Oh, I'd love to play." So anyway, I went out by myself, and Dave Newbold took Barbara and he took her around the golf course and opened up a few gates, and she got to stick the nose in the car in and watch me play. Well, can you imagine a girl on her honeymoon getting to see you play Pine Valley? Anyway, we go that night. We go to Atlantic City. We get up the next morning, we walk outside, and we said, this is the boardwalk? I mean, this is 60 years ago. So you can imagine what the boardwalk looked like 60 years ago. I mean, it was a board, basically it. And so anyway, she says, well, I don't want to do this. I said, I don't either. What do you want to do? Let's go home. So we went home. But anyway, can you imagine a girl getting so lucky as to see Hershey, Wingfoot, and Pine Valley on her honeymoon? Such a deal. Anyway. I could think of a lot of stories, Chris, but I think that's enough. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Who would you consider the most underappreciated golfer that people don't give his due to?
Well, in my era, Billy Casper. Billy Casper was a terrific player. Got very, very little credit for what he did. I mean, he won the Open, won the Masters. He won, I don't know, 60-some tournaments, something like that. Today, who doesn't get much credit for today? I don't know. I think they all get a lot of credit. They all get a lot of pay, too. I'm not sure which one would be the most underappreciated. It's kind of funny, but Brooks doesn't get near the appreciation that I think he probably deserves. Here's a guy that's won, with the Open and the PGA each the last 2 years. That's pretty good. And still, and I find myself doing it too. I say, how things are going, and I'll name 6 or 7 golfers, and all of a sudden it says, what about Brooks? I don't think about him either. He's a heck of a player. I think that I'd probably say him today. Doesn't get as much recognition as a lot of guys. He's getting a lot more the last couple of weeks. Girls like it more than the guys, though. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I heard he lost 30 pounds for that shoot. Yeah, right. Why in the world would you lose 30 pounds to put yourself in a magazine nude? I mean, why would you do that?
Did you ever think in your lifetime you'd see golf get to where it is today?
Well, professional golf. I think the game of golf is struggling a little bit. And I think a little bit of it is golf ball, a little bit of it is a variety of things. But the game of professional golf has just gone bizarre. If you go back and look at Hogan's era, I think Hogan's lifetime earnings were like $241,000, something like that. Pretty close to that. I'm not too far off. My lifetime earnings were on the regular tour, maybe, I don't know, 5.5, 6 million. I mean, these guys make that, on their week off. And not far off, incidentally. But I think that I never heard any sour grapes out of Hogan or Nelson or Snead or those guys. And you don't hear any sour grapes out of us either. Actually, Arnold and Gary and Trevino and Watson, these guys, we're all part of the chain that brought the game to where it is today. We were part of the growth pattern, and we had to go play golf, win tournaments to make a name, to go make a living. And what we did by being the forerunners of that, we now have gone out. The guys can actually go out and make a living playing golf, and I'm delighted for it. I mean, to see Rory win $15 million a week ago. Not a bad weekend haul. And Roy's a good kid. He works his tail off. I don't think he had his best year this year. He didn't finish a lot of tournaments, and particularly majors he didn't finish. He did win the Players Championship. He won the Canadian Open, and he won the tournament. I don't know what you call it, Tour Championship. He did win those, which is pretty good. Who had a better year, Brooks or Rory? That's a debate. I don't know. Have they announced Player of the Year yet?
No.
Have not? Okay, then I won't announce it. So, that's right. I think I'm actually presenting it Wednesday. So, so I won't let you know. But anyway, I think that the guys today, what I like about the kids, I like the kids today. We got about 30 of them members at the Bears Club. They're all out there every week practicing. They all have great work ethics. They work hard, but they also understand what makes a tour tick. And the tour ticks from charity. And the tour gives back, I'm sure you guys realize that golf gives more money back to charity every year more than all other sports combined. It's pretty good. And these guys on the tour get it now. I mean, I do 3 or 4 charity events a year, and the guys are there, Ricky Fowler and Justin Thomas, 2 in particular, who are there every single time to say, you guys got something coming up? You'll call my wife and say, you got something coming up? Count us in. And, we go out, we raise a little bit of money, and these guys understand that they're really, they can afford to do it, and they're doing some good. So I like the place that professional golf's in. I like where it's growing to. I had a little argument with Jay Monahan about the Tour Championship. I thought it was probably too much money for one event. I thought it sort of put down the majors a little bit and made all the other tournaments a little insignificant. And he gave me some awfully good reasons, which I wish I could repeat, about what it did. It was a season-ending tournament. It was all the others were part of what it got there and so forth, and that all other sports are in that type of thing with the Super Bowl or the NBA playoffs or year-end stuff that's worth a lot of money. And then he was saying he want to be very careful not to put the majors down and so forth with that kind of money. I understand where he's coming from. I'm not sure I agree, but it's all right. I mean, Jack Vickers at Castle Pines wanted to put on it was either a $10 or $15 million tournament, maybe $20 million tournament. This is 20 years ago. And the tour turned him down because they thought it was too disproportionate for one tournament to do that. And so, anyway, I don't know, but I think golf is in a pretty good place. I think that it's going to continue to grow. And young man here asked me how to get on the tour and asked me what he had to do a minute ago. Well, some of you guys have tried before. Some of you are probably going to try again. Some of you are going to never have tried, and some of you might get there. But it's really, really, it's a fun place to play golf. I love playing tournament golf. I love playing the competition. It was, to me, it was all about a game. And it wasn't about money. It was about a game. And I always felt like if you played the game well, the money would come.
Good, we need to make more birdies tomorrow.
Well, you and I didn't make very many birdies today. We made one apiece, and both of them were lucky.
Talk, not a four, and Jack, not a 4-footer. Talk about the golf ball a little bit.
The golf ball?
Yeah.
Well, the golf ball is, I think, our biggest problem in the game. I felt like that for a lot of years. I first went to the USGA in 1977 when Titleist came out with the Big Dimple golf ball. And that's 42 years ago. Half the guys in here weren't even born yet. And I said, you guys, you're going to have a problem. I said, if they can design a golf ball that will go 5 or 10 yards further, they're not going to stop with just this. And they didn't. And as soon as they eliminated the wound ball in 1995, the golf ball has just exploded. Well, they've actually probably stopped the growth of the golf ball for the last 7 or 8, 9 years. But it's already gotten, the cat's gotten out of the bag. In other words, from 1930 to about 1995, the golf ball increased about 6 yards, only because of the quality of the way it was made. Nothing else was changed. From 1995 to 2005, the golf ball increased about 50 yards. A big difference. And that was because they could get away with the restrictions on the golf ball and how it was made. They could get through the all the what's the right word, specifications, and still stay within legal limits. So they should, when they got rid of the wound ball, they should have changed how it was done. Now you guys know far better than I how you get a golf ball. They got golf balls now that you hit, and you can find out how the ball falls out of the sky, the trajectory of how it's going to come, and how it's going to roll, and what it's going to do. And I was trying to get it in the air, not trying to find out what it's going to do when it hits the ground. But you could customize what you even that part now, which I didn't know. But anyway, the golf ball is it's not so much that the golf ball is bad. The golf ball is really quite good. It's not so much that people like you guys like to hit the ball a long way. When I was your age, I loved to hit the ball a long way too. And but what's happened is the 3 main problems we got in the game of golf are the game is too tough, it takes too long, and it's too expensive. Well, the golf ball contributes to all 3 of those. The game, if you hit the ball 320 yards, you're going to lose a lot more golf balls than you will at 250. Really good, makes common sense. And if you're playing a golf course that's 8,000 yards, it's going to take a lot longer to play it than one that's 6,800 yards. And and the cost just becomes more. The cost, the more land, the more water, more fertilizer, everything. And it takes too long to play it, too tough to play it, too expensive, and how you bring it back, I don't know. I do believe that the golf ball will be brought back, and I will be very surprised if it's not done this year. It may not be done this year, but I would bet within the next 18 months, you're going to see the golf ball brought back 8, 10, 12%. And I think we've run out of land, we've run out of money, and I liken it to when they went from the small ball to the large ball. When we used to go over Britain and play, and in Australia, we'd obviously play the 1.62 golf ball, which was a small ball. You guys have never even seen it. But I could hit it 50 yards further. I loved it. I had a ball with it. And I had holes I'd never driven before and all that kind of stuff that were just fun to go destroy a golf course with it. But was it the right thing? Well, in Britain, they finally figured out that the pros, when they played most of the other parts of the world, were playing the 1.68. So they felt like they needed to adopt the 1.68 for tournament play if their pros were going to get better. So they adopted it for tournament play. As soon as they adopted for tournament play, pros, the amateurs adopted for the R-Day, then the colleges adopted it. Pretty soon, the amateurs were all saying, why is all the tournament golfers playing one ball and we're playing another? So the amateurs all turned around and said, we all want to play the same ball. And that's how we got to the 1.68 golf ball. And they had like a 10 or 12 year grace period, and I think they threw that grace period away after about 2 years. And I like it about the same thing as today. If we would take the golf ball and bring it back 10, 12%, you'd all say, oh my gosh. You know how long it'd take you to get used to it? Well, I used to go play here, go the next week, play the British Open, and come back here and play. 1963, I went over and played. I used a new set of golf clubs. I used a British ball that I'd never played before, and bogeyed the last 2 holes to lose the British Open. And the next week, I came back to Dallas and won the PGA with the big golf ball and a different set of golf clubs. So how long did it take me to get used to it? Half a day. And it really was a big deal. I mean, I remember, I don't know many. Lost Tree we used to have a driving range where I played, Lost Tree. We used to have a lake at the end of the driving range. And I could go to the driving range and hit balls all day long, never reach the lake. When I get ready to go play the British Open, I had Angelo who was caddying for me at the time. I'd set him on the other side of the lake. I'd never hit the ball through the lake. I'd carry the ball, 40, 45 more yards in the air. And I'd go over to old Kenny's backyard and then be hitting him into that. But I mean, it was like, wow, it's a long way. But that was the difference in the balls. It's about the difference of what they would go back to. Anyway, that was the biggest thing I found in the game. Yep.
Jack, we have all these new rules this year. If you got to be the decision maker, what else would you change?
Well, I still think the silliest rule in golf is that you've got a fairway that's lined with out of bounds on one side and a lake on the other. And you hit the ball in the lake, it's a 1-stroke penalty. You hit it out of bounds, it's a 2-stroke penalty. That doesn't make any sense to me. The only reason that it's out of bounds is because you didn't have enough money to buy the land. And I know they're speeding up play by having the drop after out of bounds, all that kind of stuff. But I think that's silly. When I first started playing, that's what it was. It was distance only. I liked leaving the pin in. When we first played in the 50s, we put it with the pin in the 50s. The dropping from the knee, that looks real dainty to me. I think you guys are the little fairies down here dropping. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't really. There's a few other rules that I don't even remember what they're. I don't play golf anymore, so what difference does it make? I don't pay attention to it anyway. But
Talk about your distance to your driver, like the Dallas long drive competition when you hit that drive, and how far you used to hit it.
Well,
Everybody always asks.
well, people always ask me how far I used to hit the ball, and it's kind of a cocky remark, but I always just say as far as I needed to. And I sort of played that way most. I always played where I was playing 80% most of the time, hitting the ball. And if I needed to hit the ball further, I just hit it further. And so he was talking about, we used to have a driving contest in the PGA, and they have it back now. We only had it for 2 years when I played. We had it in 1963, and they had it in 1964. And I won it in Dallas, 1963, and that was with a 42.5-inch driver, 11.5-degree loft, wood driver, obviously, with a dynamic S shaft. I hit it 341 yards, 17 inches. And
This is the best part.
that's what I won for it.
That money clap.
That money clip. That money clip has been in my pocket for 56 years. Then we got a little bit more realistic the next year. We had the driving contest was at Columbus Country Club, where they played the PGA. And George Bear, I don't know if many of you remember the name George Bear, but George was 6'6" and hit it a long way. And we had a driving contest right after the rain. We didn't get an inch of roll. And George hit it 303. And so I had to hit after George. I hit it 308. So, but that was how far it carried it. Same club. And but anyway, that's as far as I needed to hit it, I guess. What else, Rick? Yes, sir.
If you had one course to play for the rest of your life, every day, what would it be?
I don't want one. I don't want one the rest of my life every day. Once a month is enough. Now, I always answer the question, I exclude my own golf courses, and because they're all my own children, and who's your favorite child? They're all my favorite children. And if I had one round to play, I'd probably go to Pebble Beach. If my favorite place in the game of golf would be Augusta and St. Andrews. My favorite design golf course, and I've not seen it since they changed it, but it was Pinehurst, number 2. It's the only golf course in the world that I thought strategically was designed without a tree in play. It was tree lined without a tree in play. And the toughest golf course I think we played any events on was Carnoustie. That's sort of what I want to answer that question.
What do you think makes it a great golf course from a design standpoint?
What makes a great golf course? Well, great golf course generally gets it made by what happens there when people play events there. There's a lot of great golf courses that they don't ever play events on. And I mean a lot of really good ones. This one's not a bad one right here. It's a pretty good golf course. And I think that you find that you take this course, put the tees back and hide the pins a little bit, and you have all you want if you get nice firm greens and so forth. And the conditions, a little bit of rough, which I guess we had the Tour Championship for the what was it? Web.com Championship. They played pretty easy pins, no rough. They shot some pretty low scores. But to me, generally speaking, a great golf course is one develops a tradition. I mean, Augusta National is probably not the greatest golf course that we play on. But people learn to know it. They've learned to play it, and they've learned to see what happens on television, and it's become a pretty spectacular place because of it. But obviously it's a good golf course. But to me, it's you have all the shots on the golf course. You use a lot of. Today you can't use all the clubs in the bag. I mean, the guys that play today, they carry a driver, a 9-iron, a wedge, driver with a wedge and a putter. That's all they need. And they're going to be. Pretty soon they're going to be driving the first hole in Augusta. Yeah. We used to hit it, I've hit it 70, 80 yards from it. But good gracious, they hit the ball a lot further than I do today, or I did. But anyway, I think a good golf course is one that tests all the clubs, one that conditions And St. Andrews has been a pretty good. St. Andrews, you could, and a good golf course is one, like at Pebble Beach today, if conditions are fairly easy, benign weather, you could shoot a low score at Pebble Beach. And if the weather, if the golf course is, if the weather's benign and you can't shoot a good score, then I don't think that's a good golf course. If the weather gets tough, then the golf scores go up. But if you really shoot lights out and shoot 72 or 3 on a golf course under benign conditions, and you can't do any better than that, then I don't think that's what it should be. I mean, I think golf course should golf course should be able to be played, and I think there's a balance in there.
What's the toughest round of golf you've ever played?
The toughest? Playing with Kelley today was pretty tough. Maybe not.
At least I didn't sell you
Maybe
a car.
not totally the toughest, but
I didn't sell
it
you
was
a car.
right. It was right up there.
I should have sold you a car.
You tried. I think that, I always got, Dean Beeman didn't appreciate my comment. When I won the Players' Championship at Sawgrass, I shot 289, 1 over par. And it was so tough. And the wind conditions were so difficult. And it was so unenjoyable. I mean, because it was set up so you couldn't play it. And Beeman was the commissioner then. And I got done with the tournament, and Dean gave me a trophy. And I said, Dean, I'm really happy. I love having this trophy because I love winning golf tournaments. But I think that was the most unenjoyable win I've ever had. I don't think he liked that too well. But it really was, because it was just, it tested everything you had beyond what really was good golf. And that's not the only time I could really think of that where I won. I've had a lot of times where I thought it was pretty bad when I lost.
One more.
Yeah.
Over the years professionally, who was the most fun to play with?
I really didn't care who I played with. I mean, obviously, Arnold and I were great friends. Gary Player and I were great friends. Watson. I even learned how to play with Trevino. You don't think that isn't tough? He was the toughest guy I ever played with. Whew. He'd say to me, he says, man, I don't like playing with you. I said, why is that? I says, you walk too fast. I can't keep up with you, and you don't have time to listen to me. I said, why do you think I walk fast? He said, well, you don't. He says, you don't have to talk. He says, all you got to do is listen. But I love Trevino. I think Trevino's came from nothing, and he's done a great job with his life. He's got good kids. He was married a couple of times and had kids and didn't even know who his kids were for a long time. And then he got married to a gal named Claudia, and they had Daniel and I can't think of his daughter's name, but 2 kids, and they all of a sudden became the apple of his eye, and he started spending a lot of time with him, and he still played golf with Daniel every day. He's turned his whole life around, and I give him a tremendous amount of credit for it. He's a good guy. But what was your question was asking about?
Who was the
Who
best?
you get the most fun playing with?
But I didn't really care. I enjoyed playing with a lot of guys. I mean, I enjoyed playing with my kids. I don't have many. My grandkids, not many of them play, and that's their call. I mean, actually, believe it or not, I even enjoyed playing with Kelley today.
like that. I'll say goodnight.
Anyway, we have one more back here.
In your viewpoint, who do you think's the best ball striker, Hogan or Woods?
Who was what?
Best ball striker, Ben Hogan or Tiger Woods?
Hogan. There ain't even a question about that. I mean, Tiger Woods, just that's your first time you've mentioned Tiger. It's the longest they've ever gone to any function I've ever tried to make. But Tiger, I talked about Tiger earlier a little bit. Tiger was, I mean, the last major he won prior to this Masters was 2008 at Torrey Pines. He hit it all over the golf course and won that golf tournament with a broken leg. I mean, Tiger's a fantastic competitor. Tiger's got a great short game. He's a great putter. He's got a great iron game. He's got the best distance control of anybody I've ever seen. But as far as striking the golf ball, Ben Hogan Hogan was the best I'd seen. I think Trevino was the second best I've seen. I played with Hogan in 1960 at Cherry Hills, U.S. Open. And Hogan had just come off of the first round, or the second round, hitting all 18 greens in regulation. So we played the last day, it was 36 holes. And Hogan hit the next 18 greens in regulation. He hit the first 16 greens in regulation. So that's 52 straight greens in regulation. Pretty good. And the U.S. Open. And, you know, but Hogan he was fantastic about what he did with the golf ball. Now, Tiger is really good about what he did with the golf ball, but Hogan was with every club in the bag all the way through it. And Tiger's not been a good driver. As I say, from about mid-iron in, Tiger's terrific. But that's what he had to do to win. And you know, people ask me about, will Tiger win again? And I said, yeah, he'll win again. I said, I've always believed he's going to win again. I said, anybody who could do what he did at Torrey Pines, he's not going to lose his short game. His iron game or his putter. He'll figure out some way to hit a driver onto the golf course where he can find it. And as good as he is with the rest of it, he'll win. And so he wins a Tour Championship last year. And then we get to Augusta this year. I usually sit next to Tiger at the Masters dinner. And we're talking, and I've never seen him so confident. And so he was really, really looking forward to the tournament getting started because he was ready to play. And so he obviously was in contention. And we got around to the last round, and you saw all those guys fill up Ray's Creek with their golf balls on 12. And Tiger got up and hit that they all tried to hit it right to left. And you can't play the 12th hole at Augusta right to left. Just doesn't play. You're hitting into the narrow part of the green, the ball getting away from you. You got to start it out over the water. The water angles away. If you don't bring it back, it's in the water. If you hook it a little bit, it goes through the green. And if the wind switches on you, you're up in the bushes. And I mean, it doesn't take very much for either one of any of those things to happen. Anyway, they all filled up Ray's Creek. Tiger hit this little cut shot into the green with probably a little 6 or 7 iron. And I said, tournament over. I said, he'll do the same thing that I did in '86. He'll remember how to play. He'll remember how to finish. And he played beautifully, finishing up the golf tournament. And, you know, I gave him great kudos for that because he's a great competitor. He's got great work ethic. He really works hard at it. I had him on 4 President's Cups that I was captain. He was a great teammate. Guys like him. And, you know, he does well. But he's not going to win again? Boy, his golf swing now is 1,000 times better than when he was winning. I mean, his head went up and down that far when he was winning. His head's pretty level now. Has to with his back vision. I think he's having some trouble. I think he's having some troubles with his back. With I assume the levels above and below, because that's what you're going to probably have. But he'll probably figure it out. He's a pretty resourceful young guy. Not as young as he used to be, but he's a hell of a player. But Hogan's a better ball striker.
Thank you, Jack.
Okay, one more.
Do you think he'll pick himself for the President's Cup team?
I don't. If he, let's see, what do they have? 8 qualify and he has 4 choices? Is that what it is? Yeah, and he's 13th.
Yeah.
I think he was 13th. No, I really don't think he will. I think if he were one of the top 12, I think he'd pick himself. But it's hard for a captain to justify picking yourself if you've got another guy who qualified better than you did in there. Should he be on the team? Yes. But will he pick himself? I don't think so. Guys, enjoyed it. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed what we did, and had a little conversation. Oh, excuse me. And Tom, thank you so much for honoring me with your dad's award. I appreciate that very much. Your dad was a great guy and a great friend, and always will be, as will you. And great events you got going here. I know you're having fun with it. I hope you guys. I don't know how you shot 62 out there today. And somebody had to do it with a pencil. But anyway, you had a pretty good pencil. Anyway, enjoy tomorrow. Good luck to you. Play well and have fun. Thank you.
Jack. Thank you, Jack. You know, I got the first tee today, and I just could not figure out why Jack didn't think that my 9 city tournaments was as good as his 18 majors. But anyways, to play in the President's somebody that's won 18 majors, Jack, you are the greatest golfer that's ever played the game, and be here at Fort Wayne and bless us with your presence. We'll never forget it. And it's an honor for us to have you here. So thank you very much.
Thank you.